I've been holding this in for years, but I can't anymore. Back in 1996, 3 of us Marines were dropped into an abandoned village called Najeeban, out in the Helmand state of Afghanistan. The locals said no one lived there anymore, not since whole families vanished in one night. Some said soldiers shot all of them, but I don't know. Anyway, we were told it was just an observation post. 1 week, no contact, no locals. But on the second night, we realized there weren't 3 of us in that compound. I still can't figure out what we saw or what we heard there. All I know is those things were not right. Creepy in a way I can't even explain. I still can't forget those nights, not a single one of them. The order was simple. Sit on a dead village for 1 week and watch the wadi. Late July 1996, Helmand heat pressing on my helmet like a hand. The map said Najeeban. The locals said nothing at all. Michael rode point quiet like always. Daniel rode behind him, feet bouncing, mouth going. I was in back with the radio and the guilt of wishing the truck would just break so command would call it off. Observation only, Michael said, eyes on the horizon. No hero stuff. Daniel snorted. Yeah, well, if the ghosts start shooting, I'm returning fire. I tried to laugh, it came out thin. The road turned to dust, then to nothing. Najeeban rose out of flat sand like bones, mud walls slumped, alleys clogged with drifted powder. No donkeys, no dogs, not even flies. We stopped at a compound with half a roof and a high wall. It gave shade and a clean line of sight to the wadi. Michael did a slow lap, checked corners, checked roofs, checked the gate again. This is us, he said. Pack light inside, keep it neat. I hauled the radio and the water. David took ammo. Daniel dragged the cots, bitching the whole time, but he had that grin he used when he was scared and didn't want us to know. Whole place smells like hot chalk, he said. Smells like nothing, I said. That's the weird part. We set the cots in a row along the inside wall. I put mine near the door, habit. David took the far corner, the darker one. He kept staring at the doorway like he expected someone to walk in. You good? I asked. He nodded too fast. Just feels empty. Empty is good, Daniel said. Empty doesn't shoot back. Michael shot him a look. Radio check. I cracked the handset, muttered the call sign, got static, then a clean reply farther out. Our ride faded. The dust behind it fell down in a slow curtain. When it cleared, there was no movement anywhere. The whole village sat like it had been held underwater. We did a slow sweep of the nearest lane, courtyards yawning open with no rugs, no pots, no marks. Doors leaned off hinges. A kid's ball, stitched leather, torn and filled with sand. I kicked it once. It barely moved. Where are the animals? David asked. Gone, Daniel said, like everyone else. Everyone doesn't leave bowls on tables, I said. He looked. A clay bowl on a low ledge, dust inside, no prints around it, no tracks to it. Just the bowl sitting there like it had sprouted from the wall. We finished the sweep and climbed to the roof. The wadi lay a few hundred yards out, a thin cut of grey. Nothing moved out there either. Schedule, Michael said. 2 on, 1 off. Rotate. We sit, we watch, we call anything that breathes. Daniel leaned on the parapet, and we try not to die of boredom. I tried to settle. I tried to enjoy the quiet. My brain kept waiting for normal village noise, a goat, a kid yelling, a pan. The silence felt thick, like a room after a fight. Every sound we made came back too loud. Near sunset, the heat backed off, not by much. Shadows got long. The village stretched wider in the blue light. I could see all the alleys at once and still feel like I wasn't seeing enough. Make dinner, Michael said. Keep it cold, don't light anything. I don't want to announce a damn thing. We ate crackers and cold meat while sweat ran down the backs of our necks. Daniel told a joke no one laughed at. David kept glancing at the lane outside and rubbing his palms on his pants. You ever see a place this empty? He asked me. Not like this, I said. Empty is usually loud. Bugs, birds, something. Maybe they all left because of the weather, Daniel said. Maybe it was a bad season. Or something else, David said. Or nothing, Daniel said. Don't do that to yourself. Michael cut them off with a hand. Eyes out. We rotated watches. Daniel and I took the first one while Michael and David tried to sleep. The sky turned black in a clean sweep, no twilight to speak of. Stars looked close enough to poke. The air went still, a heavy still, like there was a huge hand over the village. Hey, Daniel said after a while, you hear it? Hear what? Exactly. He tried to laugh again, failed. We stood there in it, that wall of nothing, until my ears started ringing. We talked just to put noise back in the world. You believe any of the stories? I asked. What, haunted ground? He shrugged. I believe people get scared and run. And we show up later and tell ourselves it was some demon, because it's easier than admitting we just don't matter here. We matter, I said automatically. It sounded wrong coming out. He checked his watch. Wake him, he said. Swap. I went downstairs. Michael was on his back, eyes closed, hands crossed on his chest like he was thinking, not sleeping. David had a rag over his face. Their breath sounded too steady. I put a hand on Michael's boot. Up, your turn. He sat up fast, the way he always did, ready before he opened his eyes. He nodded, swung his feet down, strapped his helmet. Anything? Nothing, I said, not even a bug. He stood, stretched his back until it popped, and crossed to the door. I followed him out to the lane. The village lay flat and black. You could taste dust. Michael stopped. You see that? He said, voice quiet. I looked past him. Across the lane, inside a courtyard we had cleared an hour before. A thin orange glow flickered low, small, like a cook fire trying to be born. It breezed a little, brightened, faded, then brightened again like someone cupped hands around it. There was no smoke. There were no shadows moving around it. The gate to that courtyard was half open, and it hadn't been. Michael lifted his hand a little, not a signal, more like a warning to the air itself. Stay here, he said, eyes on the glow. If it grows, you call. The light shivered once, like it hurt him. Then it settled and kept burning, quiet as a held breath. I kept my eyes on the glow and tried not to blink. Michael stepped forward slow, rifle low, boots kissing the dirt. The little orange pulse breathed in and out like a lung. Hold, he said. I am, I said. Daniel's out. David's out. Wake them if it grows, he said. It did not grow. It just sat in that empty courtyard and pretended to be a fire. No crackle, no smoke, no heat on my face. I swallowed and tasted chalk. After a while, the light thinned, like a candle dying in a jar. It flickered twice, then went out. The gate eased an inch on its own, then settled. Michael let out a slow breath. We wait for first light, he said. No one plays hero. He took the rest of the watch. I tried to sleep and could not. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that glow and a circle of people I could not see. Hands over a fire that did not warm them. Before sunrise, the air cooled a little. The sky turned grey at the edges. Michael nudged my boot. Up, he said. You need to see this. I stood and followed him to the gate. Outside our wall, on the packed dirt where our tracks crisscrossed, sat 3 small mounds of stones, each one the size of a watermelon. Each one packed tight and even, perfect ovals. You did that, Daniel said from behind me. He sounded half awake and already annoyed. Funny. Love it. I was on the roof, Michael said. Then he did it, Daniel said, pointing at David. David went white. I didn't even sleep, he said. I just stared at the ceiling and counted my breaths. I crouched and touched the top stone. It was cool. No dust on my fingertips. No loose grit. Every rock looked washed, like river pebbles, but the nearest river was a joke miles away. How can you make them and not make noise, I said. You cannot, Michael said. So someone made them when we were not listening, or they were always here and we never saw them. They weren't here, Daniel said. I walked over this exact spot 3 times. We stood in a dumb half circle around the mounds while the light came up. Birds anywhere else would have started. Nothing here did. Leave them, Michael said. No one touches them. Log it. We do our sweep, then eyes on the wadi. The sweep took us along the same lanes, same dead rooms. I checked the courtyard where that light had been. The dirt there held no ash, no char, no black stain on the wall. In the center, a shallow circle showed where stones had pressed and then lifted. It looked like the bottom of a basket. Cold, I said, palm on the ground. Everything is cold, Daniel said. Everything except me. We moved on. In 2 more alleys we found smaller mounds tucked against door frames perfect as the first 3. We did not touch those either. By mid-morning the heat came up hard. The world turned white at the edges. I sat on the roof with the radio while Michael and Daniel did glass on the wadi. David stayed in the shade and wrote notes that looked like math he would never solve. 2 men, Michael said softly, scanning. 300 yards out, moving east to west, no load. Locals, I asked. No, he said. Not moving like locals. Legs too heavy, heads too straight. We watched and watched until the 2 shapes faded in the haze. No dust trail, no footprints leading in or out. It felt like watching a tape loop. I logged it, then stared at the handwriting and did not know what to call any of it. Daniel slid down next to me and drank warm water like it was new. He used the back of his hand to wipe sweat off his lip. "Grave jokes are off the table," he said. "Grave jokes were never on it," I said. "Fine," he said. "New idea. We put our own pile of rocks up. We make it ugly. See if they fix it." "Why would that help?" David said from the doorway. "Because if it gets pretty overnight, then there is someone here who gives a damn about symmetry," Daniel said. "And I can work with that. People who care about neatness make mistakes." "People," David said, like the word itself hurt. Michael shook his head. "No experiments. No messages. We observe." He said it calm, but I heard the steel under it. He was holding the line for all of us. The day dragged. We ate cold again. We drank the taste of warm plastic. The sun stood there and refused to move. I tried to nap and woke every 5 minutes to check the gate. By late afternoon, my skin felt too small. Even the shade was hot. A dust devil wandered through an alley and collapsed without touching anything. "Radio check," Michael said. I keyed and got the friendly voice farther out, clean enough to make me feel normal for 10 seconds. I held the handset too long after and listened to the hiss. It sounded like the ocean I had not seen in years. "Think they were sitting there," David said quietly. He watched the empty courtyard where the glow had been. "Think they were right there last night, just cooking." "Cooking what?" I said. "I do not know," he said. "Memory, maybe." "Stop," Daniel said. "Stop giving the air words." He said it like a joke. His face did not match. We set watches as the lights slid down. I took the first with Daniel again. The village changed color, sand to gray, gray to blue. The walls felt closer. "Look," Daniel said softly. At the gate, where the 3 small mounds sat, a 4th now leaned against them, not quite touching, like someone had put it down and then thought better of it. I blinked. I had been staring that way the whole time. It had not been there. Now it was there. "You saw that," I said. "I didn't see it," he said. "I just see it now." "Michael," I called, not loud. He came up beside us and froze. "Log it," he said. "Log what?" Daniel said. "That rocks just show up now." "Write the words," Michael said. "We are not going to win an argument with our heads later unless we have words." Night settled, soft and heavy. Stars punched through. The glow across the lane did not return. My skin still crawled like I was standing too close to a generator. "Second," Michael said, tapping my shoulder. "You're off." I wanted to argue. Instead, I lay down on the cot and stared at the shadow above me. My body would not let go. Every time I shut my eyes, another image came back. The shape of a hand cupped over a light, the neat curve of stones, the empty bowl in that other room. I woke at grey again with the taste of fear in my mouth. My tongue felt thick. My neck ached like I had slept on a fist. Michael stood over me. "Again," he said. We stepped out. 5 mounds now, laid in a straight line along the wall, each one a touch larger than the last. The top stones all pointed the same way, long side to the east like arrowheads. "Okay," Daniel said, slow. "Okay, so that is not funny anymore." "It was never funny," David said. "No one is touching them," Michael said. "We keep clear. Pack nothing near them. If I see a hand on a rock, I will break it." His voice was still calm. It sounded like a promise. We did the sweep with more care. In a small room 2 doors down, I found a cup I did not remember, turned upside down on a mat. No prints around it, no trail. I stood there too long, then came back and wrote it down and felt stupid writing it down. Noon ate us again. Shadows burned short, then slid long. We hid in the sliver of shade and tried to pretend our bodies were not screaming. "Explain it," Daniel said. He spoke to Michael like he wanted to be told a lie he could live with. "Just pick a cause. Pick anything. Could be someone moving at night we are not catching," Michael said. "Could be we missed signs. Could be we are dehydrated and seeing patterns in what is not there." "How do you not hear 5 piles of rocks get built?" I said. He did not answer. Around late afternoon, clouds formed way out and then vanished like an idea you decide not to have. The air went still. I felt sweat crawl down my spine and wanted to tear my shirt off. We climbed to the roof again. The wadi looked like a cut with no blood in it. I pressed my eye to the scope and saw heat dancing, a random shimmer. No men, no movement, no birds. "It is going to be worse tonight," Daniel said. "Stop predicting things," I said. "I'm not predicting, I'm reading the room," he said. "And the room hates us." He tried to smile. It broke apart. We ate, we drank, we cleaned our rifles because that is what you do when you cannot control anything else. Michael tapped his watch and pointed at the gate. Light is dropping, he said. We sit with it. We do not leave the compound unless we have to. We stood there as the sun slid into the earth. Our shadows stretched across the lane and climbed the far wall. I saw my helmet shape in the little notch where I had dinged it on the truck door last month. Then the light tilted a hair more, and something went wrong. I moved my hand to scratch my jaw. My shadow did not move. "Michael," I said, but it came out too thin. He lifted his rifle an inch. His shadow did not. The dark shape of his arm stayed down, then a second later jerked up too fast, too high, like someone else was trying to copy him with a delay and forgot how elbows work. "Are you seeing this?" Daniel said. He waved both arms. The black version of him stood still, then stuttered through the motion like a bad tape. One arm lagged, one arm overshot. "I am seeing it," Michael said. He sounded calm in a way that made me want to throw up. I lifted my boot and put it down. The shadow's foot came up late, then stumbled as it set down, like it felt a trip I did not feel. It almost fell. I watched my own not body almost fall. "Inside," Michael said, quiet. "Now." We stepped back. Our shadows did not. For one long second, 3 dark men stood out there, flat on the wall, looking into our doorway while we were already inside. Then they caught up and slid across the threshold slow, like syrup poured wrong. David made a sound I had never heard from a human throat. "Do not run," Michael said. "No one runs. We breathe, we wait." The sun dropped 1 more inch. The shadows pooled at our feet like oil, then snapped into place. My lungs started working again. Outside, the line of stone mounds looked taller in the half-light. The top stones turned a fraction toward us, not east anymore. I did not say anything. My mouth would not work. Night came in a rush. The stars punched through like nails. For a long minute, we just stood and listened to our own breathing. "Second watch," Michael said finally, and my heart sank because I knew what he was going to say next. "We test it again at dusk tomorrow." I looked at my hands and imagined them moving while the dark version of me did something else. No one argued. We didn't speak for a long time after that. Just sat in the dark, rifles on our knees, trying to breathe normal while the weight of it pressed down. My throat felt raw, like I had swallowed dust. When the silence finally broke, it was Daniel, whispering like he was afraid the walls would hear. They weren't ours. Michael didn't turn his head. "What?" "The shadows," Daniel said. "They weren't following us, they were showing something else. Did you see the way mine?" "Stop," Michael cut in. "We keep discipline. We don't invent things we don't understand." But he had seen it. We all had. My shadow stumbled like it took a bullet I didn't feel. His jerked around like it was being dragged. David's dropped to its knees before snapping back to him. I pressed my palms into my eyes until stars bloomed. My brain kept asking, whose movements were those? The night dragged. Every noise sounded wrong, like it was starting somewhere else and finishing near us. Sometimes I swore I heard voices, distant, like people laughing around a dinner table. Toward midnight, I couldn't take it. I leaned close to Michael. "Do you hear that?" I whispered. He didn't answer right away. Then, yes, we all heard it. Soft laughter drifting through the alleys. Plates clinking, a woman's voice rising and falling like a whole family lived right outside our wall. Daniel's hands tightened on his rifle. "Fuck it," he muttered. "We go check." "No," Michael said. "Then what? Sit here while they throw a party?" "It's bait," Michael said. "We stay put." But the laughter grew clearer, closer. It was like they were daring us to step out. David covered his ears, rocking forward, whispering, "It's not real, it's not real." And then the glow returned. Not one, but dozens. Every courtyard in sight lit up with small orange fires. Thin silhouettes sat around them cross-legged, perfectly still. "Jesus," I whispered. We stood in the doorway, staring. The heat wasn't there, the smoke wasn't there, just the light and the shapes of people frozen in mid-meal. Michael raised his rifle, then lowered it. His jaw was tight. "Stay sharp." "They move, you call it," Daniel snapped. He stepped forward, shouldered his rifle, and shouted into the night. "Hey, you done creeping? You want us? Come out." No answer. None of the figures moved. He fired. 3 rounds burst straight into the nearest fire. The silhouettes scattered like smoke torn apart by wind. The flames collapsed into grey ash in an instant. Dead cold. David screamed. "Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it." "Shut up!" Michael barked. "Back inside, now." We dragged him by the collar. My hands shook so bad I could barely hold my weapon. The radio hissed alive as we stumbled in, static tearing, then a dozen voices all at once, whispering in Pashto, overlapping with English words we never said. I froze. The voices weren't random. They were repeating us. Every word we had spoken that day, played back in a twisted chorus. "Don't do that to yourself. Keep discipline. Stay sharp." All in our tones, our accents, but dragged, broken, layered, until it sounded like something else was learning how to be us. The hairs on my neck stood straight. My skin went ice. Then it all cut to silence. We sat there in the dark compound, rifles pointed at nothing, stone mounds lined at the gate, the smell of cold ash drifting through the door. And that's when I noticed it. 4 cots in the room. Not 3. 4. A 4th laid out neat, gear stacked at its side, waiting like it had always been there. We stared at the cot like it was a bomb. Same issue fold, same hospital corners, gear stacked in a perfect little pile. Helmet on top, canteen beside it. Daniel's voice cracked first. "Who the fuck did this?" No one answered. Michael crouched, ran a hand along the blanket, then pulled back like it burned him. "This wasn't here," I said. My throat felt tight. I checked the wall before lights out. There were 3. "Maybe you were half asleep," Daniel said, voice too fast. "Maybe you—" "Don't," I snapped. "Don't tell me what I saw." David pressed himself against the wall, eyes wide. "It's not ours. None of it's ours. Somebody's here with us." Michael straightened, slow. His face was set, but I could see the strain in the corners of his eyes. "We're not touching it," he said. "It stays. We log it. We keep rotation. That's all." "Log it?" Daniel barked. "What are you gonna write?" "Magical bed showed up, sir." "They'll lock us in the funny farm." "Shut up," Michael said. "Sit down, breathe." I sat on my cot but didn't take my eyes off the 4th one. My brain kept trying to picture somebody lying in it, blankets pulled just right, boots at the foot, breathing slow like they belonged. Sometime past midnight, I felt it. Not saw, not heard. Felt. Breathing, steady, just behind my shoulder as I pulled watch. I froze. The sound was right there. Close enough I swore the air brushed my ear. I turned quick, rifle up. Nothing. Just cots. Michael and Daniel were asleep. David was curled tight. The 4th cot sat empty, neat as ever. But the breathing didn't stop. It shifted now by the door, calm and patient, like someone else was pulling guard duty with me. I wanted to yell, to wake the others, but my throat locked. My mind said if I acknowledged it, it would move closer. Hours crawled. Shadows bent and stretched across the wall, flickering with no flame. When dawn finally bled grey into the compound, my chest hurt from holding breath too long. Michael stood, rubbing his face. "Everyone up." Daniel groaned, grabbed his rifle. "Any more ghost sleepovers?" I opened my mouth to answer, but Michael cut me off. He was staring at the wall. "Count them," he said. I followed his gaze. 4 helmets hung neat in a row on the mud wall. Not 3, 4. Identical, even down to the scratches. Daniel cursed, loud. "That's not fucking funny." "No one's laughing," Michael said. His voice was flat, dead. David's hands shook. "They're living with us. They're right here. We just can't see them." I wanted to deny it, but my gut knew he was right. Every inch of my skin crawled. Michael's eyes didn't leave the helmets. No one touches them, nobody. We stay on mission until extraction. None of us answered. There was nothing left to say. When the sun rose, casting long, thin shadows across the gate, we stepped outside. And there it was. A new mound, bigger this time, human-sized. Built perfect, stone by stone, pressed flat at the top. It hadn't been there an hour before. My stomach turned to ice. David whispered what we were all thinking. "Who's it for?" We stood at the gate, staring at that mound, and for a long moment, no one breathed. It was tall enough to cover a man. The stones were clean, fitted like a mason had worked them by hand. Daniel muttered, "That's a grave. That's a fucking grave." Michael's jaw flexed, but he didn't argue. He just said, "Inside, now." We pulled back into the compound. The silence out there felt heavier than usual, like the whole village was holding its breath with us. My stomach twisted. I couldn't shake the thought that somebody was buried under that mound, waiting for us to open it. The rest of the day was torture. Heat pressing down, water going warm in the bottles, sweat pooling in my vest. We rotated shifts, blast the wadi, but I couldn't keep my eyes off that mound through the scope. Every time I blinked, I swore it looked a little taller. By dusk, the sky turned bruised purple. The air got still again. Shadows stretched long and wrong across the courtyard. David finally spoke after hours of silence. His voice was flat. "They're not warning us," he said. "They're making room." Daniel snapped. "Shut the fuck up, man." But I knew David wasn't wrong. The first glow appeared just after sundown, then another, then another. Within minutes, the whole village was lit up. Courtyards burned with ghost fires. Figures sat cross-legged around them, frozen at first, then twitching like puppets. "Positions," Michael ordered. His voice was steady, but I could hear the strain under it. We lined the wall with rifles aimed out. The air shimmered. The fires hissed without heat. Then the figures began to move. Not smooth, not natural, jerks, stumbles, like they were reenacting something. One shadow family laughed together, but the sound was warped, stretched. Another group stood and argued, but the words didn't line up with their mouths. And then, gunfire. Not ours. Distant cracks echoing from nowhere. The shadows convulsed, clutched at their chests, dropped into the dirt. "They're showing it," David whispered. "They're showing how they died." "Stop watching," Michael barked, eyes on the wadi. But I couldn't. None of us could. Every alley was alive with these echoes. Men dragged from houses, women screaming silently, children pressed into corners. Gunshots, throat-cutting motions, ropes tightening. It was all shadows and fire, but it was too real. Daniel screamed suddenly, raised his rifle, and emptied a burst into the nearest courtyard. The rounds chewed mud and dust, but the figures didn't flinch. They just flickered, broke apart into smoke, then reformed again like nothing had touched them. The radio crackled at my side. At first, just static, then voices overlapping in every tongue. Pashto, broken English, words we had spoken ourselves. The machine spit our own sentences back at us in a chorus, warped, stretched, like someone was trying them on. "Keep discipline. Stay sharp. Who's it for?" All of it at once, like the village was learning to speak in our voices. I yanked the handset out of the socket and threw it. The voices didn't stop. They just grew louder, until it felt like the walls themselves were whispering. Then I saw it. In the nearest courtyard, around one of those fires, sat 4 men. 3 of them I recognized instantly. Michael, Daniel, and David. The 4th, his face was wrapped tight in white cloth, burial style, helmet strapped crooked on top. He just sat there with them, motionless, like he had been there all along. My throat closed. My legs wanted to run, but the compound was too small to escape. Michael raised his rifle, sighted the figure, and fired. The flash lit the wall. The 4th man vanished in a blink, but the helmet stayed. It rolled out of the courtyard, across the dirt, and came to a stop against the base of our wall. We all froze. The whispering cut off. The fires died. And then, outside the gate, every single stone mound collapsed at once. The sound wasn't rocks falling, it was breaths. Hundreds of them, exhaling together, deep and ragged. I felt it in my chest, like the whole village had just woken up. No one moved after the mounds collapsed. The dust hung in the air like smoke, slow and heavy, and every breath I pulled felt stolen. My hands hurt from gripping the rifle too tight. Daniel finally whispered, "We're fucked, we're so fucked." Michael turned on him fast, shut it. "We hold. That's all we do." But even his voice cracked. David rocked on his cot, eyes glassy. "They're in here already. You can't keep them out." I wanted to tell him to stop, to calm down, but the truth was, I believed him. The air itself felt thick, occupied, like we weren't alone in the room anymore. We stayed awake through the night, no one daring to lie down. Every sound in the village scraped our nerves. Raw scratches against mud walls, boots that weren't ours shuffling across alleys, muffled voices in languages that bent and broke halfway through words. At one point I looked up at the compound wall and saw them. Shadows moving along the mud, stretched tall, black against black. 4 of them, not 3. I counted again. 4. Michael, I whispered. He saw it too. The shapes leaned into each other like men talking quietly, then turned their heads toward us in perfect unison. Michael's jaw tightened. No one looks away. Not until they're gone. But they didn't leave. They stayed on the wall, moving when we moved, frozen when we froze. My chest squeezed like I was being pulled in 2 directions. Part of me inside, part of me with them. At dawn, the shadows thinned and slipped back down the wall. Michael finally lowered his rifle and spoke in that dead, clipped voice. "Extraction is tomorrow. We just need to survive tonight." Daniel barked a laugh, sharp and broken. "Survive tonight? They're already counting us. You saw the grave. That was a body-sized grave." Michael ignored him, but his hands trembled when he checked his watch. The day dragged slower than any I've lived. No wind, no clouds, just heat and silence. My mind played tricks with the dust, turning every ripple into a figure crouching in the alleys. When I closed my eyes, I saw the fourth cot, the fourth helmet, the fourth shadow. By dusk, I knew I wasn't right anymore. None of us were. My stomach twisted, my ears rang. Every time I blinked, I swore someone else was sitting just behind me, breathing slow, steady, like he belonged there. As the sun bled out, the shadows stretched across the compound again. This time they didn't lag or stumble. They moved smoother, stronger. And always 4 of them. The fourth shadow sat on the wall, still and patient, while the rest of us panicked. We didn't sleep. Nobody even pretended. We just sat in that rotting compound with our rifles pointed at shadows that moved smoother than us. By the time the sky lightened, our eyes were bloodshot, our hands trembling. Michael checked his watch every few minutes like he could force the time to move faster. Finally, just after dawn, the radio cracked clean. A voice that wasn't warped, wasn't whispering. Command. Extraction in 1 hour. Pack up. For the first time in days, I felt a drop of relief. My shoulders sagged. Daniel laughed, but it was shaky, half broken. "An hour," he muttered. "We just gotta make it an hour." Michael didn't smile. He stood, grabbed his pack, and started barking orders like muscle memory. "Strip it down. Grab ammo, water, radios. Nothing else." We moved fast, desperate. I shoved gear into my bag with hands that barely worked. The others were the same, fumbling but focused. Then David stopped. He was staring at the wall. "Where's my cot?" he asked softly. I looked. 3 cots, not 4. His wasn't there. The space where it had been was clear, clean, like it had never existed. David's voice cracked. It was right there. Daniel cursed under his breath, slamming his gear shut. "Don't look at it. Just move. Move!" Michael's face had gone pale. He didn't answer. He just pointed at the gate. We stepped outside into the glare of morning, and there it was. A fresh stone mound, bigger than before, perfectly built. Right outside our compound wall. Nobody spoke. We just shouldered our packs and walked past it, trying not to look at the way the top stone angled toward us. The extraction truck rolled up in a cloud of dust, a sound so normal it felt unreal after everything else. The driver leaned out, waving. Michael counted heads as we climbed in. 1, 2, 3, only 3. The truck jolted forward. The compound shrank behind us. I forced myself to look back one last time. The stone mound wasn't closed anymore. It was cracked open down the middle, like something had climbed out. So, that's the end of our video. If you made it this far, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and it's free. And if you want more terrifying encounters like this one, check out the other videos on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there. See you soon.